Hello and welcome to Become the Teapot. I'm Iain.
And so am I. And this is a podcast about comic books and their film adaptations. Shall we get started?
Yeah, Crow on then.
So, your first time watching The Crow then?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
I think it's a product of its time. It's a grimy, gruesome, gothic grunge fest, in my opinion.
You're really playing into this alliteration lately, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I love it. No, but yeah. I was watching it, like, the whole way through, I'm thinking, there's gonna be a bit that comes up that I don't like that will ruin the entire film.
Right, okay.
Or I was worried about it being not as good as everyone has said it has been, and it won't stand up to being this sort of hype of a cult classic.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a love/revenge story.
Yes, definitely.
And I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
So it does stand up to the hype.
Good to hear. Were you familiar with The Crow beforehand? Do you know much about it?
I knew little bits, and I'd heard that the film was cursed and this kind of stuff, and I knew not so much the plot, but I knew the sort of a couple of story beats. But yeah, not overly familiar with either comic or film.
Right, okay. So you were going in dry, as it were. You were completely unawares.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I watched the film first and then read the comic.
Right, okay. Yeah, I was going to ask that next. So that's interesting. So you were watching this. Yeah, you had a vague idea of the plot, is basically it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, actually. I think it is very much of its time. It is a schlocky and melodramatic B-movie.
Yeah.
But for that reason, I found it very entertaining. All the cartoonish, over-the-top villains with their samurai swords and knives. All of the scenes of him brooding on rooftops, playing the electric guitar and stuff like that. These really, like you say, gothic shots. I really enjoyed all of that. It's so over the top, setting fire to the petrol and making the crow inflame while he stood nearby. Great shot.
Yes. That instantly made me think of Ben Affleck's Daredevil when the cop just throws a lit cigarette at a bunch of oil on the floor, which is not safe at all.
On a crime scene.
On a crime scene, yeah.
What the f***?
But I think they were trying to homage that film,
Yeah.
but ended up just sucking terribly.
I love that there is a complete lack of restraint to this film. It is pure emo, moody, gothic behaviour. And unashamedly so. It just says, yeah, whatever, that's what we are. They were leaning into that aesthetic, that sort of grunge aesthetic.
Yeah, I would be interested to find out what other films and other media this film inspired. Because I think it does fit in nicely with things like Sin City and Dread. Not Dread, sorry, Blade.
Yeah.
Sin City due to the sort of the grimy, crime-covered city, and then Blade because of its grunge, sort of supernatural bits, I guess.
Yeah, Blade had that sort of gothic vibe as well, but it was more of a sort of techno-goth, early 2000s, late 90s techno-goth aesthetic. But yeah, I mean, absolutely, you can definitely see the influences of this on later works. I think Heath Ledger has cited it as one of his inspirations for his Joker, and you can definitely see a bit of that.
Well, when they were deciding on the look of the crow in the film, a makeup artist applied the face paint on Lee, but they saw it was too neat and too clean. So what they decided to then do is that Lee would paint it on himself the night before the shoot, go to bed wearing the paint, and then when he woke up, it was very worn out and used.
Yeah.
And it gave that sort of grimy look to it. This is what Heath Ledger used as inspiration.
Yeah.
He did the exact same thing with the makeup. You can definitely see essences of the Joker from The Crow.
Yeah.
Like in The Crow, there's the last guy he goes to kill at Top Dollar's hideout, lair, club, whatever it is, and he sits on the table. It's almost beat for beat like a scene in The Dark Knight.
Yes, yeah.
When he goes in and sort of is in front of all these gangsters. Obviously, it's a bit different, but this is one of the biggest inspirations that I think Heath took for that character, which I quite like that it's passed on. But then also you've got the tragic death of him as well, not on set, but this is where the whole cursed thing comes from, I guess, is that, anything that comes in contact with the crow is cursed, but I don't know.
Yeah, and it also tonally, it reminded me a bit of the more recent The Batman.
Yeah.
And I think that's, they played Nirvana all through the trailers and in that film.
Look, Mom, your favorite, Nirvana.
You know, they really played into the 90s grunge aesthetic inspiration in that film as well. And there's something really about both films playing that completely straight, you know, really forthright and straight-faced about the raw emotion on behalf. There's no like sly wink to the camera. So I could see a lot of Crow in Pattinson's The Batman as well. Now, I liked The Batman, but I think 13-year-old me would have absolutely loved The Batman. And I kind of think the same thing about The Crow. I sort of vague memories about watching it, but I wasn't that into it. But I imagine if I had seen this at the right age, early teens, you know, it would have had a profound impact. I can see why it became a cult classic.
I can't believe it's taken us 49 episodes to cover this film, considering what we named ourselves after.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know, Become the Teapot is a quote from Bruce Lee, Brandon Lee's father.
Yep.
It's taken us 49 episodes to come around to this.